You said one off, right?
Yes.
Is everyone ready? Just like Nietzsche came, just like Ahab stared into the ocean, saw only Moby Dick, the ass stares into the debate and sees only a problem to react to. Their whole future is predicated on this resentment against an inescapable part of life in an attempt to unlive the past. Kalfa 03. Ahab sees the ocean not as beauty, but as a constant reminder that the whale kingdom and its means of promotion towards a single and unforgettable member of the kingdom. He declares himself into the tranquility of sunset. He brews over the ship's wake, filled by his strive for revenge for Ahab. The wake is not water under the bridge. It is precisely his obsession that these past waters would constantly propel him to new waters. Ahab may be seen in the mode of which the Luke's in Galteria, defined as indefinite time of the event, floating line that knows only space and continuity, devised with that which happens into already there, that it's the same as a not yet here, simultaneously too late and too early, as something that is both going to happen and just happened. Ahab has made his future determine his past, even as he has made his past and determined his future. Ahab is seen to have driven himself into a reactive life that is fueled by resentment. His wound is stigmatic. Confessors continuously behave. Ahab is caught up in cyclical recall and reprojection of his bodily trauma. All his energies are directed towards constant but useless remedial measures to live the past by reliving the future. This reactive mode contrasts forcefully with the active life. Locke's quest stated, "My wound existed before me. I was born to embody it." This resentment is the foundation of all violence. Wood 05. The ineluctability of violence has many sources, but none so potent as the shape of it are inhabiting the time of violence seems to be understood not merely empirically, but ontologically. The closer we can link violence to resentment and trauma, the more violence becomes visible as a disease in time of chronopathology. Nietzsche's account of resentment operates on our most basic, existential, and ontological condition. The passage of time with resentment does this provide us with the ground logic of violence. Nietzsche discusses resentment in terms of taking revenge time against time, and it was Nietzsche is talking about a pathological response to a central dimension of human condition. That time passes and that the past and the passage to the past are both irrevocable. What could it mean that to take revenge against this fact? Any particular act or resentment will itself be involved by the very time it rails against the frustration of resentment is essential because its impotent rage can only produce imaginary and temporary reversals to what it opposes. Nietzsche's solution affirmation of all that ever has been might be thought to be precisely the rare response, indeed the only response for a condition in which the specificity of the trauma is genuinely unavailable, like a broad spectrum antibiotic used for infection that has been roughly identified. The alternative is to firm life. The egg is a joyful egg, overcoming of the sickness to feel guilty. Our method is not about repressing memories or narrowing ourselves down the past. It is a refusal to nurture the pain of the past and allow it to be the grounding for our actions and identities. This is a passionate opening towards life. It overcomes resentment. Zupenic 03. The invention of guilt arises from the logic of the immeasurability. It has no equivalent. The more we pay, the more it remains pain. Guilt is itself an articulation of enjoyment, the means by which the infinite can inscribe itself in the finite, where the beyond can inscribe itself in body. Guilt is not a consequence of punishment. It stems from love and sacrifice. The Creator sacrifices himself for his debtor out of love. It repeats the death of thus giving hope for a new start, but simultaneously this is the keeping of our death that has the perverse effect of involving us in a new eternal death, bringing about the most terrible sickness of mankind. The most man find himself guilty and reprehensible to a degree that cannot be atoned for his will, to think himself punished without any possibility of the punishment becoming equal to the guilt. Here is a sickness beyond any doubt that the terrible sickness that has ever raged in man. The notion of mercy is situated beyond the law, the possibility of escape from the vicious circle of punishment and guilt. By his notion of mercy is not simply an act of forgiveness and can only spring from a surplus of power and riches. How much injury he can endure without suffering from it, it becomes the actual measure of his wealth. Such a creditor can now allow himself the noblest luxury possible, letting those who harm him go unpunished. Overcoming of justice is called mercy. It is a capacity not to be a jerk, but not to suffer because of injustice that constitutes a measure of one's riches. Power, not the capacity to endure suffering and meaningful injury, to bear pain, but the capacity not to let the suffering enter the constitution of one's subjectivity. Nietzsche makes this a very relation to Christianity, the way God has forgiven our sins has to pay for them with his own pleasure, while forgiving and simultaneously banishes us as to cause the instrument of torture, the memory of one who suffered and died, so we can be forgiven. The memory of one who paid for us Christianity forgives with us, not forgiving credits a new death in the very process of this act. This is why Nietzsche counters the concept of forgiving with the concept of forgetting. Nietzsche claims that the memory entertains some essential relationship with pain. If something is to say, the memory is supposed to be burdened, only that which never ceases to hurt as it stays in the memory. Forgetting is not the same thing as repressing. Then forgetting refers above all to the capacity not to nurture pain. It also means the capacity not to make pain and determine the ground of our action and choices. Memory is eternal sequences and learn insomnia state in which no great thing can happen. Memory is something monumental that fixes the certain events and closes with us their horizon and internal openness and a seceding stream that memory can immobilize us, mortify us, make us incapable of action. A human being not wanting to experience things in the thoroughly historical manner would be would like someone forced to go without sleep. Nietzsche's aim here is not to preach narrow-mindedness and pettiness, or is it simply to affirm the historical against history or memory and the access of history to mean ceases to be human. Nietzsche's point is that if it is surplus passion engages us in the midst of life instead of mortifying us, it's an inducement of forgetting. If we do not have to work, if we work on our memory and strive to keep these grudges alive, they will most probably affect and mortify our new passion. We must recognize that our truths and values are illusions and embrace them as such. The only question we should be asking ourselves as debaters, beings in and of the world, is how we can affirm life in any and every instance. In this sense, affirmation of prerequisite to life itself. 1909. Moral ideals are illusions that repress negate life, but behind the illusion, behind the mask of nihilism, there's always a hidden will to power that can ultimately turn to self-destruction. Characteristic of radical nihilism. This does not mean the life without ideals is a solution to the problem. Nihilism and the war against nihilism. Moral ideals are used as justification for the aggressive. Those were intended to service of this worldly tragedy of the American Empire. The world for global power is not to be attacked or destroyed, but to be humiliated. And it was humiliated by September 11 because of the terrorists inflicted something on it that it cannot return. Thus one wonders, would it not be more noble for empire to fight its own nihilism? Its own sound one instead of marrying bin Laden becoming a shadow of its own shadow and radical nihilist fundamentals pact that reduces politics to moral duty and morality that can accommodate nobility with the necessity of overcoming its own nihilism. Its own urge for revenge and ethics. Nobility can only emerge on the basis of church valuing existing values without reducing value to a single definition, thus putting it in service of despotism. If it is futile to run after values that cannot be realized, it is equally futile to hope that a world without values that reduces self-belief to knowledge can be a solution to the problem. Nihilism, knowledge literally takes the place of belief. The overcoming the metaphysical juxtaposition of this world to the real world is not left a moment of the shorter shadows. A world without value, meaning a life without virtual dimension, which is why for Nietzsche illusion fictions are necessary to live. What is crucial to know that this context nihilism pretends that its solutions are truth. Nihilism is insistent and truth are necessary to live. Nietzsche's re-evaluation, on the other hand, consistent in showing that it is not truth but illusions that are necessary. Religion or fiction, something created or illusion, are our values, the ways in which we live, interpret life, the ways in which life interprets or expresses itself through us. The feminist political the feminist political project relies on sweeping categorization of what is evil in all of life. It is no longer about finding someone to argue with or an action correct, but finding the sin in the character of the people in the community and world. This is the spirit of resentment to distribute blame for women's purported powerlessness. This has two consequences. It blinds us to positive forms of will to power and further enmeshes feminists in the larger strategies of power they resist. Tapper 93. Feminist processes, insofar as they are motivated by the spirit for someone have been preoccupied with power as control, and that involves double-edged dagger. On one side, it risks playing into the hands of rather than the modern mechanism of power that Foucault identified as operating by techniques of surveillance, normalization, control. On the other, involves blindness to and forgetfulness of the other fronts of will to power, which are positive. These active forms concerned with the self-formation and autonomy. We can see a shift from the wanting equal power within the existing institution to attacking those institutions themselves, criticizing practices and discourses to finding everything evil, but it does not follow that the women are powerlessness. This is certainly not true. Women have engaged quite properly so, and much of what Nietzsche might call naysaying, insisting on the expression of sexism from language or harassment from everyday relations of exploitation from economic practices of sex bias and theories and discourses of objectification and representations and so on. Okay, cut the card there. Okay, open for questions. Sure. Okay, you good to go? What's nihilism? Nihilism is the negation of life.
Can you tell us how we negate life?
Well, Nietzsche is kind of different than nihilism, so we're not saying that in that you're kind of finding, it's like you're ressentiment because you're finding something to, you're blaming the society for this powerlessness that women have.
What's the link?
The link is that, okay, so the link is that you're talking about empowering women and blaming society for the way that the females are powerless, and that's the form of ressentiment.
The link is your advocation of feminist political action.
Okay, so feminists are always women?
No.
Okay, okay. What is ressentiment?
Ressentiment is the cycle of suffering. So it's finding something to be to securitize against to alleviate suffering, and then because you securitize yourself, you want to securitize yourself some more. So it's like this constant need to run away from suffering.
So how do we ever fix suffering?
How do we ever fix suffering? By coming to terms with it.
You don't fix suffering. It's not
Okay,
something
so
you
how
can
does a
solve.
slave come to terms with their master?
Slaves come
What do
to
you
terms.
mean?
Well, I just asked, okay, I just said, like, how do you get over problems? And she says you just accept them. So I'm saying, how does an individual who's being oppressed just accept their problems?
It's not that you accept your problems, it's that you accept the fact that suffering and pain is inevitable and it's a production of ressentiment. And the only way in order to end the cycle of violence and the cycle of pain and suffering is to end the cycle of ressentiment.
So then how do I end the cycle of oppressive structures oppressing my body? Like, I'm not the one causing pain to myself.
Well, the whole reason that there is oppression is because people are securitizing themselves against those that are oppressed. So by coming to terms with the good and the bad in life and the need to and forgetting about the need to securitize, we can help those people overcome their oppression.
Okay, so walk me through how you overcome oppression.
Okay, so
How do queer bodies overcome the gender binary that violently oppresses them?
Sure. Specific to your case, you talk about how people in our society see the queer as something that's other or different than them, right? So what our critique is saying that this difference that we're seeing is because people are afraid of this difference of this other that they can't relate to.
So how does affirming life solve for that? Or overcoming life?
Affirming life, they would be able to see the good and the bad in life and live with whatever they is thrown at them, so they wouldn't need to securitize.
Thank you.
Prep.